Good morning. It is 6:47 a.m. on Tuesday, October 24th, 2017. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. I went to bed early last night and I still feel sleepy. I don't know if I was fully aware, like maybe I hadn't caught up on enough sleep over the weekend. I talked yesterday about how I stayed up too late Sunday night just because I was full of energy after the improv class. But it's also possible that my body was a little extra tired because I got a flu shot yesterday. Otherwise, doing fine. But, could have played a role. Um, Yesterday, I played a bit more of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I finally made my way to Meridian, which is the game's big city. Uh, I don't know, I have a history in some of these open world games of delaying going to big cities. For example, in Fallout New Vegas, I reached the level cap before even ever setting foot inside Las Vegas. And then, oddly enough, I never finished the game because I don't know. Without that level progression, it somehow didn't feel didn't feel as fun. But anyway, Meridian. Really impressed with Meridian in Horizon Zero Dawn for a couple of reasons. One, it's very big. It feels big. I mean, obviously, one of the things that I'm sure is a skill when it comes to video game design is having a city that feels big when in reality, like a real world location of that exact size would be very small. But of course, it's all relative too in that game because one of the big things that distinguishes it is that everywhere else is the construction is much more rudimentary or primitive, whereas this city feels much more like a big, nice, maybe Renaissance era city in terms of the construction. Lots of arches and stonework and everything, and it's up on a mesa, so it has these great vistas to it, and it's just the buildings are really tall. And I think maybe that's part of what makes it feel so big is that it's just so big in comparison to everything else that you've seen in that game. And it just feels very well realized in the sense that, it's kind of overwhelming at first. There's so much detail going on. The map is complicated. Again, compared to what you've been doing. So that's a great contrast for the game is that you've been going through the wilderness, and then all of a sudden here's the city and there's just people everywhere. And oh my God, what is that place down there? And oh, what is that? Is that an alley? Or oh, look at all these vendors. Yeah, and so it's kind of it's a neat contrast and a cool area in the game. And I'm glad I kind of finally made my way there. And it has some interesting stuff going on with how the culture that primarily lives in that city had an issue where their previous king was very murderous and demanded many sacrifices, and so this sort of nation of sorts became known to the rest of the world as being, evil for good reason. But they're in an interesting situation now where the son of that king eventually rose up against the king, took over, and then just immediately by fiat started declaring like no more slavery, no more sacrifices. We're going to open up the city to anyone. And all of that sort of thing, which all seems very positive so far. I don't know if there's a story payoff to that might change that, but because we haven't met that character. But at the same time, obviously a lot of those elements are, are good things. But it's interestingly complex that the various people you meet within the city have a variety of feelings about that. there are some of them that, are saying, oh, thank goodness we finally did that. We were afraid to say anything under the old king because we thought we would just be next. But now, thankfully, we can be more open and peaceful. And then you have other people who are just saying, I can't believe they're letting all this trash into the city now. That sort of thing. Complex. In any event, that continues to be a great game. I'm glad I'm finally getting back to it, and I'll talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.